Welcome to the Board Game Network. This is James here. I'm going to be explaining how to play this game called Spyfall. It plays 3 to 8 players and then plays in about 15 minutes. You go through a preset number of rounds, however many you decide to. The rules suggest 5. The objective is you have a group of players and one of you is a spy. And the goal is for all the non-spies to figure out who the spy is. Or, alternatively, it is the goal of the spy to figure out where everybody's at. You have 30 different locations, and they're all separately bagged. You need to do this when you get the game. There are a bunch of location cards and then a spy card. And you separate those into the bag. The rules suggest you put the spy card on top. But it works better in practice if you put it down on the bottom, so if you pick up the package you can tell that the spy is in there, for one thing. So you don't have to worry that maybe that packet lost its spy card, or it's got stuck in the middle or something. And so you set that up so that you have a spy card in each deck. And then you have a location, and each location has a job. So you have a job at that location. This one is a movie studio, and so there's the director and the cameraman, the sound engineer. So what you do is you have this, whatever number of players there are going to be, like if there's 5 people playing, you would have somebody open randomly one of these packets, put the spy out, and then count out 4 more cards, mix those up, and then deal them out. So you don't know who the spy is, and you need to discover who the spy is. You put an 8-minute timer on, and the first person, whoever does that dealing, then gets to ask the first question. And right here in the middle of the rule book, it shows all 30 locations sitting here. We got airplane, amusement park, bank, beach, nightclub, restaurant, all these different locations. And you should check this, insert the centerfold out at the beginning of the game, let each player look at it to get an idea on the different locations. So the first player, whoever dealt the cards out, he's going to get to ask the first question. And typically they might be yes/no questions, but they don't have to be. But those questions need to be vague enough that the spy does not learn where the location is where everybody's at, because his goal is to learn where the location is. And so let's say, you know, you're on the submarine or something, and you might ask a question, well, you know, you might ask a weak question like, have you been to dock lately, or something, which would leave the impression to the spy that, oh, you're out to sea. Well, you don't want to do that. But you could ask something vague like, do you see the stars at night? Or do you get out to run much to do your exercise lately? That kind of stuff. That would leave that open for a lot of different choices. And if you're asking the spy, you want to listen to the answers from the spy to see what kind of answers they're giving, because if they don't know where the location is, they don't know how to answer the questions. So you want to try to determine from the spy, or from every character, if they know where they're at. And you want to be vague on the question and maybe even vague on the answer so that that spy doesn't learn. So once the first player asks somebody else and they answer, then that person turns around and asks somebody else. And they can't ask the first person, they have to ask somebody different. And then so that just goes around, bounces around until one of 3 things happen when the round ends. The 8-minute timer goes off. And at that point, you can discuss your suspicions, but the first player then is going to accuse somebody. Say, well, I think Bill did it. And then you take a vote. And everybody gets to vote except for Bill, the accused player. And so if the vote is unanimous, you're going to flip Bill's card over and see if he's the spy. So if he was the spy, then the accuser gets 2 points and all other non-spies get 1 point. If he was not the spy, if you incorrectly accuse somebody and you voted unanimously on him, then the spy gets 4 points for remaining anonymous. If the vote, however, is not unanimous, then the next person to the left gets to accuse somebody, and it proceeds around the table until everybody has got the chance to accuse somebody. And if nobody gets a unanimous vote, then the spy actually wins and gets 2 victory points. The second way for the round to end is if a player gets suspicious during the 8 minutes before the 8-minute timer is up, and he says, I think so-and-so did it, I think Fred did it. And the 8-minute timer gets stopped. You pause to take a vote, and if the vote is unanimous, then back to the same scoring as before. If it's not unanimous, then you just start the timer back up, continue on with the game. Now each player only gets to do that once per round, and then that's it. But he can still accuse at the end of the round just like everybody else can. So each person gets 1 accusation during the round, during the 8 minutes. Okay, so that's the second way to end the round. The third way is if the spy figures out where he's at, what the location is. So the spy can stop the clock, flip over his card, show he's the spy, and then say, I think we're at the beach. So if he is correct, then he wins. He gets 4 points. If he's wrong, then all the non-spies get 1 point. And then after 5 rounds of the scoring, and so then the first player just goes to the next player, goes to whoever was the first player last time, or you rotate it around the table or something. At the end of the round, what you do is you pick up all the cards and then just select you a new baggie for the next round. And then you have a new location where you select the number of players and deal out another card to each player. And then after 5 rounds, you're just going to total up all those points. So that's how you play Spyfall. You need to get some... don't be very direct in your questions. You know, be very vague in your questions. Make them so that they can apply to several different locations. But this is a fun game and plays up to 8 players. So make sure you check out Spyfall and subscribe to all of our videos here at the Board Game Network.